Hey, it's David, W5CWT. In this video, we're going to look at starting and running FLdigi along with FLmsg. We've already downloaded and installed those programs. If you need to know how to do that, you can find a previous video. So on our computer now, we have two programs located here, FLdigi and FLmsg. You can also access them through the Start menu by simply typing a little bit of FLdigi, and then we're going to click that to open it up. It'll open up. If it's the first time to open up, it'll ask you for configuration. It'll ask you for your call sign and possibly even your grid square. Enter those things in, and then it'll take you to the main screen right here. Mine up here does say no call sign yet, so we're going to go ahead and enter that as underneath the operator portion, operator, and we're going to put our call sign in, W5CWT. We're going to save that and then close, and you'll notice that now it shows up at the top window. We're also going to open FLmsg. Again, we can type in FLM and come up with FLmsg, or simply click the desktop link. First time it opens up, it will ask you for a call sign. Simply put in your call sign, and then it goes to the main screen. At this point, we have a template that's opened up. This is our template for the 213, ICS 213 report. Your forms are located here, especially ICS forms, 205, 205A. All these information, all this kind of stuff is located here. We are going to use a 213, so I'm going to go back and select 213 as our first form. Now, before we're ready to send anything, we want to make sure FLdigi is set up properly. A couple things to look at. First of all, MT63.2KL. That's what we want to make sure we've chosen down here as our mode. If it's not there, you can click on Operation Mode and then choose MT63 and drop down and say 2000L. MT63 2000L is what we want. Make sure in FLmsg the same mode is selected in this box down here. Now this box is simply a drop down. There's all kinds of modes located in here, so you'll scroll through until you find the one you want, which again, we want the MT63 2KL. That's the mode we want to make sure. These two programs communicate with each other. If one mode is in here and a different mode is over here, you'll have issues going back and forth of them setting each other to different modes. Also make sure that you have this button in the top right hand corner of FLdigi, RxID and TXID both selected. That simply enables a process that when you transmit or as you receive, the beginning of the transmission or the beginning of the transmission you're receiving, there will be a tone burst typically, and that will identify the mode that's going to be sent. That really helps you in making sure that you are getting the information you need to get. It sets everything properly so that it knows what mode it is. If you had it set wrong, it will correct it itself. So make sure those are just real helpful things to have set both in transmitting and receiving. You'll hear the real loud tones at the beginning of each transmission. That's where they're coming from, those things right there. Also, we want to make sure that we have the sound card set up right now. I'm going to simply use audio coupling, which means I'm going to use my microphone on my laptop and the speaker and simply hold my radio close to one of those, either for transmitting or receiving. If I'm transmitting, I'm going to hold the radio close to the speaker so that when my computer is generating the tones, I'll be pushing the push to talk on my radio, and it'll be going from the speaker of the computer into the microphone of my radio. If I'm receiving a message, then I'm simply going to either leave the radio on the desktop next to my computer with the volume turned up, or I'm going to hold the radio close to the microphone of the computer so that it can pick up the sounds being transmitted over the air, over the radio, and decode those in the window. So audio coupling, that's why you're seeing already some things here, because if I go into configuration and say sound card, notice the sound card, I've clicked audio, port audio, and then it's given me the options, and I've chosen the internal microphone. Now, there's some couple options here, but I'm going to choose the microphone and the speaker, the high definition audio. Those are the two default devices, which is my internal microphone and my internal speakers of my laptop. I'll say save and then close. And if you'll notice down here in the area down here, the waterfall we call this, you'll see some colors going. That is the sound that it's hearing. So if I scratch the microphone, or scratch my computer, you can see it's making a noise, that sound up. I know everything is working properly. Also want to make sure that this red bar down here, this is centered at 1500. 1500 is where that should be. That makes sure that I am going to get all of the signal. The signal is going to stretch from about 500 to about 2,500, and I want to make sure it's as much in that red bar as possible. You can change it down here with this 1,500, or you can simply slide that bar one way or the other. You notice as I'm sliding the bar, the number is changing also. So I'm going to get that as close to 1,500 as possible. If I want to get it exact, I can always simply click that number and then change it there if I want to do that, or I can rotate it up and down like this. So I can go down directly to 1,500. Again, I want it centered on 1,500 to make sure that I get the other person's message. Everybody has to be centered on the same place. The standard is 1,500. So let's send a quick message. We're going to go over to FLmsg. I've got my template already up here. The 213 form. I'm going to type in some information. This is a drill. It's the incident. I'm going to send this to KN5G. This is going to come from W5CWT. The subject is a test message. In the message, I'm going to say this is a message. I'm going to choose the date. Any date will work, or obviously you want to use it on the date you're doing it. You can click this little button to put it to today's date, or you can click this one and put it to today's time, that moment in time. So right now it is 3:15 in the afternoon on October the 4th. I'm going to approve it myself down there, and then I'm going to get ready to go. Now I'm going to click auto send. When I click auto send, this program will automatically connect and communicate with FLdigi and begin sending it. You'll hear some tones come across. It's going to ask me to save it first. So I'll watch this first. Auto send. It's going to ask me to save it. It puts a timestamp and a date stamp in here along with my call sign and the type of form, the 213. And as soon as I say save, so I've got a hard copy saved to my computer, then it's going to start transmitting. You'll hear the tones. Let's listen to it. Now it's actually sending the message. I can see the message is transmitting from what's going on in red up here. It's going to take about 20 seconds. I can see that earlier down here in FLmsg at 21 seconds. And so as it wraps up here, there's the end of the message. My counter up here tells me it actually was right at 26, so that's about right. And there is my first message. Now, if I was actually transmitting that message, I would have had my radio held to the speaker, and I would have been pushing the push to talk. I would have started by saying, this is W5CWT, prepare for digital message, and then let that message transmit. And then at the end, I would say, this is W5CWT, end of digital message, W5CWT out. And then I would release the push to talk, and that way everybody else could have heard that. So that's how we use FLdigi, and hopefully that will help you in getting ready and making sure all the settings are set properly. Look for other videos on WinLink and also installing these programs if you haven't done that already. W5CWT, I'm Steve.